at the Velvet Tail in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, pursuing our dreams. Everyone has goals and everyone has ambitions in their life. However, most people live their life on wishes and hopes, and they're waiting for something to happen. Well, if you're going to talk the talk, my friends, walk the walk. So what we do is we model behavior. And the message that we throw out to people have to have depth and weight. Just because I tell you something or suggest something, unless I have experience with it or do it myself, what does that mean? That means absolutely nothing. I could tell you to do hula hooping and it's good for you. But unless I can back that up with solid facts and evidence. So when we talk about fishing without bait, when we talk about walking through life without definitive expectations and having that beginner's mind, we want to fly the colors, do we not? And flying the colors, again, we're going to do that today. Perhaps a number of months ago, some of you perhaps participated in some Facebook Live where we had the full impact mindfulness, emerging butterfly out of the darkness tattoo. And today we're going to fully commit today to fishing without bait. We're going to have our logo imprinted indelibly on our skin.
Tell me a little bit more about what that logo means.
Well, we developed that concept, Mike, when we used to do some podcasts, and at the end of it, we'd offer a free prescription. Fruits, nuts, and vegetables, unplug the television, and we advise people to take up fishing. And for a truly mindful experience, we ask them to fish without bait. So that concept came into when we walk through life. This isn't about walking through life aimlessly and pounding in the trees without any purpose at all. This is about walking through life with our eyes wide open rather than our eyes wide shut, exploring possibilities. Most people go through their life with their eyes wide shut, perceiving that there's only certainties in their life. That I'm always going to be here. This is going to be a bad day. I'm never going to get out of this situation. So what we ask people to do is to have that beginner's mind, and quite often what we talk about that is for those folks in the program. We often say, have you seen a thoroughbred horse race? Big, magnificent animals that can do one thing and do it well, run fast, however, in one direction. And usually if you look at these magnificent animals, they have things on their eyes, blinders, and they can only see in one direction. We call that an expert's mind. An expert's mind is unwilling to explore possibilities or even entertain the possibility that there may be other solutions. However, if you've ever been around a 3 or 4-year-old child and look at them when they see something new or even something they've seen before, and they gaze at it with awe and wonder, and they're in that moment and they're so excited about being right here and being right now. And that's what we talk about fishing without bait. Walking through life not with concrete blocks tied around our ankles, but like we're walking through a warm breeze. Would you like to walk through your life like you're walking through a warm breeze? So that's the type of philosophy that we advocate, and we just don't advocate it on fishing without bait. We actually show you how to do it. We give you the instructions. We give you the guideposts. We urge you and encourage you and support you along the way. So here today with our new friend, Miss LP. Miss LP is a tattoo artist extraordinaire at the Velvet Tail. So, what's good about being Miss LP?
Pretty much everything, really. Life's pretty great right now.
What would that mean?
Well, I just got married and just moved. So that's pretty great. My whole family came up for the wedding, and I don't get to see them very often, being as they all live in North Carolina. So that was pretty wonderful.
So tell us what attracted you to your partner.
Well, I met him when I worked at Dino's in Greensburg when I was a waitress there, and I did not like him when I first met him because I thought he was rude. And then I actually got to know him and just realized he's a very sweet man and it is all a facade. But don't tell that to anyone who he might arrest on the streets of Greensburg. But yeah, it's been about 6 years ago now.
So what originally attracted you to him?
He is the single most genuine person I've ever met in my life.
Wow, what does that mean?
Well, for my artwork, for example, if they're most people look at a piece of artwork and just tell you it looks wonderful and that you did great and it's perfect. And no, he will pick out the terrible things about it or something that I slacked off on.
So he's honest.
Very, very honest. Whether you want it or not, which is the best way to be.
So he's honest. So what you're saying is he tells you the truth.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
24/7.
Uh-huh. So what happens, Miss LP, is when people have minds of uncertainty, they turn into minds of anxiety and worry and fear. So what we want to do is turn that into a mind of awareness and a mind of knowledge. Now, if my car is sputtering, am I going to take it to the garden center? Am I going to ask my next door neighbor who may be an accountant? Where would I go to?
Your mechanic.
You go to a mechanic. You go to the person who knows. So if I was going to go and inquire about a tattoo, would I ask a second grader? Would I ask somebody who fixes toilets?
No, you ask me.
I would ask a tattoo artist. I would go to the expert, so I would get a mind of knowledge. People come in and they made emotional mind choices about inked.
Yes, absolutely.
And how do you handle that when somebody comes in? Do you ask them, are they sure, or are they?
I do, and oftentimes I will actually just tell them that I'm not going to do the tattoo. If I feel that it's something that they will regret, especially with, say, like 18-year-olds, they seem to oftentimes come in, just because they can finally get one, so they want one, and this is what they want, and I don't think it's a good idea, or even placement is a big thing for me. I will not put a forearm tattoo on someone when it's their first tattoo, or if they're young and they don't know what they're going to do with their life yet. Just because it still is very limiting, even though society has gotten so much more used to people covered in tattoos. I still don't want to be the person that limits someone on their career choices.
Okay.
Like my husband, for example, he's a city police officer who works for the city of Greensburg. He could not go and become a state police officer if he wanted because he has his forearms tattooed. And,
I wasn't aware of that.
When he got them, I'm sure he didn't even consider police work as an option. I don't know. I just like to point stuff like that out to people who are maybe getting something in a critical time in their life.
You will say, I'm not going to do that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Someone wanted a noose tattooed around their neck one time, and I just said that it was the idea that it was projecting seemed a little more extreme than something I wanted my name attached to, so I didn't do it.
So what you're saying is if an 18-year-old comes in with maybe, not that they're not mature, but perhaps they're making an emotional mind choice about the love of their life that they want tattooed on themselves.
I will not tattoo names for anyone. I'm not a very superstitious person, but that is one thing I believe to just be bad luck.
Well, say more about that.
Okay, so kids, if someone wants their kids' names tattooed on them, I don't mind that so much. I don't mind that at all. But I think for a significant other, even if someone has been, married for 20 years, it just seems like a bad omen to me. So I don't do it.
Okay.
If someone really pleads with me and I don't know, then sometimes I'll cave. But for people who I know and love and see every day, I can't bring myself to do it because I think it's bad luck.
How about neck tattoos and face tattoos?
For people who are already very well covered and are established in a career where that doesn't matter, I don't mind.
You help get a person with a mind of knowledge. You're just not there to say, give me the money and I'll link you up and buy.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay. It's not like sheets. Next.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
Because my name is still attached to it. So.
Okay. Well, that leads us to another. That's a sense of pride, is it not?
Absolutely.
So when something walks out of here, you want to have some pride in that's your work.
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. So many people out there, LP, do not have pride about themselves, and we call that self-concept. Self-concept is facts and information you know about yourself. Self-esteem is how you interpret those facts and information about yourself. And some of those are pretty skewed because we take our perceptions of ourselves from perceptions of others or how we think we want to make ourselves to make other people like us. That ever happen in your life?
I don't know. I was just going to say, elaborate on that a little.
Well,
for
let's
me.
let's say this: particularly young girls, females begin to lose their sense of self and self-esteem and concept around the age of 9. Unfortunately,
Around the age of 9.
yes, that's when they begin to become influenced by social media from others, what young ladies should be, and what young ladies should make themselves to be attractive or
Right.
accepted by others.
I certainly would not have guessed the age of 9.
It's 9 years old. So at 9 years old, certain things begin to happen in uh, both young men and young women's bodies, and they begin to become real introspective and self-conscious about how they look. So if you look at the social media, and if you look at models, models are generally 35% underweight than what an average person would weigh.
Yes.
Okay. And for some reason, this waif type of look, especially for females, seems to be attractive. If you look at men's health magazines versus women's health magazines, there's 11 times more weight loss advertisements in women's magazines than there are in men's.
Right.
So, if you look at eating disorders, LP, perhaps you knew some of your friends in your life that perhaps maybe developed eating disorders.
Oh, yeah.
And so how did you deal with that? How did you deal with friends who you knew were restricting or really hurting themselves?
I actually, when I was in high school, I dated, my high school boyfriend was a wrestler, and he wrestled at 130 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And he was 5'5", maybe 5'4". I am 5'8", and I was 5'8" all through high school. And I, in my mind, just thought that it was absurd that I couldn't weigh, how dare I weigh more than my boyfriend? That was ridiculous. So, yeah, I fell into that a little bit.
Yeah, so who was saying that? You said in your mind.
Yeah.
So were those thoughts correct?
Oh, definitely not.
Okay.
I've most certainly learned that lesson very quickly.
So what we help people do is understand that simply because they have a thought doesn't mean that it's correct. So if we sit back and examine those thoughts and able to sit back like we're going to the movies, or sometimes we ask people to talk to themselves as if they'd talk to a friend.
Yeah.
So our minds are nothing more than masses of organic goo, our brains. They're repositories for data. They take in everything from our senses. Our minds are the things that shape, shift, sort, color, grade, and add importance to the thoughts. And sometimes simply because a thought is repetitive or loud, our mind attaches great importance to it, and hence it must be true. And quite often that is done by others who repeat things to us. Okay? So then we develop that inner critic. Did you ever have an inner critic inside you that perhaps told you that you weren't good enough or doubted your decisions?
Oh,
or
definitely.
Yeah, everyone does. So the deal is that most people try to fight that, okay? And what we try to do is help people understand that that's part of you. And so what we want to do is to be able to make friends with that and stop the internal battle.
Yeah.
Most people walk through their lives with a whole lot of useless nonsense chatter in their head, do they not?
Definitely.
Yeah. So how many thoughts do you have a day, do you think?
Oh my God, I don't think I could ever even begin to guesstimate a number on
Yeah, isn't how busy are people's minds?
that. Incredibly.
Isn't that the truth, right? Have you ever just thought of nothing? Has anybody ever?
I don't think so.
Ah.
I don't even think of nothing when I sleep. I'm a very vivid dreamer.
So you're a dreamer. Good for you. What type of dreams do you have?
Mostly really, really vivid nightmares. I feel like
nightmares. Wow.
Yeah, but I like horror movies. So
Okay.
I don't know. It doesn't bother me.
Well, our subconscious is active or more active during the night than it is during the day. Are you an observer in these dreams? Are you a participant?
I am always a participant.
Always. Wow, that's cool.
Is that abnormal?
No, not really. Are you? There's nothing abnormal. So, LP, during the day, our thoughts are structured by our morality, how we were raised by society, what's being expected and told of us. Okay.
Okay.
However, at night there are none of those rules. So what we have is unstructured thought.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we have to compare our dreams to? Our daytime thoughts.
Right.
And which is why most people refer to their dreams as what? Ooh, they were weird.
Yeah.
So doesn't anybody come up to you and say, "Gee, I had a weird dream last
Oh,
night"?
yes, all the time.
Uh-huh. So how old are you in your dreams?
I think I'm almost always the same age
Uh-huh.
as whatever I am
Okay.
at the time.
Do you ever lucid dream? Do you ever know you're dreaming? Do you ever have?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, do you really? Wow, isn't that neat? So when you're lucid dreaming, what do you do? What do you do? When you participate, do you speak?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I speak out loud.
Do you really?
Yeah,
Great.
like my husband does.
Oh, wonderful. So do the other people in the dream, do they speak to you?
Yes.
Ah, isn't that something? What type of conversations do you have?
I mean, I guess it depends on the type of dream.
Ah, that's great. So, can you decide what to say in your dream? Can you say, "I'm going to"?
I don't know. That part I don't know. I mean,
Okay.
I guess to some
Okay.
extent.
Well, lucid dreaming is when you know you're dreaming, and what we help people to do is to facilitate and learn how to lucid dream. Uh, Most people's dreams are about not being able to find their way, let's say, out of a house, out of a car. They're searching for somebody and they can't find them.
Mm-hmm.
They pick up a phone, they can't work, it doesn't work. They try to speak, nothing comes out, or they're being chased or falling.
Yeah.
Okay. So that generally signifies that there's some type of disturbance in their life, some unresolved type of matter. Okay.
Okay.
So generally, when we understand and help people to lucid dream, that means that they can actually turn around in that dream and face the boogeyman, face the person or the thing that's chasing them, and speak to it
Okay.
and say, "I'm not afraid of you. Why are you chasing me?"
Makes sense.
And finish some. So most people have unfinished business in their life. They have unresolved issues that they go throughout their life, which is one of the reasons most dreams are about unfinished business and not being able to accomplish something or not being able to find your way out of a particular place.
Yes.
So a lot of your dreams are about horror films?
Well, I mean, I feel like it could be a horror film.
Okay.
It's not about a specific horror film.
Are you afraid in your dream?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah. Do you like to be scared, LP?
Sometimes I don't mind it so much.
Okay. Do you seek out those type of movies? Do you seek out those?
I do.
Cool. People like to be scared. They like to have that sense of fear. So that sense of fear brings adrenaline up, doesn't it?
Yes.
And it's kind of excitement in your life, and wants to break it out of the humdrum boredom of life. Because most people, LP, walk through life being human doings rather than human beings.
Please check out our website at fishingwithoutbait.com, where you can listen to the show, comment on our discussions, and find out where you can subscribe to our podcast. If you're interested in flying the colors of Fishing Without Bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.